I'm Trevi Guido, and I'm going to talk about how I turned college distress into life eustress. I lived in Tucson, Arizona for 12 years, and being like any typical child, I hated where I grew up and wanted to be as far away from Arizona as possible. It wasn't until later when my parents hit me with some very exciting news. We were moving to California, and I got to attend high school in Coronado Island, one of the most beautiful places on earth, and I couldn't have been happier. My favorite thing in the entire world is the ocean, and I began spending my days going to the beach, tanning, surfing, swimming, skating around the island, and hanging at SeaWorld with my friends. I was a part of the Coronado High School surf team and varsity cheer team, and I felt on top of the world. It was my sophomore year when I was given some pretty unfortunate news that caused me college distress before even being at college. Due to the economy and in an effort to save money, I was on track to graduate from high school in just 3 years. I took full class loads during my summers, and I was no longer able to do any of the fun things that I enjoyed. I was constantly inside studying and applying to colleges while all of my friends were enjoying the beautiful island that I no longer had time for. I applied to and looked at many California schools like UCSD, USC, UCLA, Cal Poly, and many others, but I was not satisfied with the campuses or programs, and I became very frustrated. On a whim, while visiting Phoenix, my parents and I drove by ASU as a joke because I had always refused to go to school in Arizona. And what do you know? I surprisingly fell in love with the campus. I knew I was destined to go here, even if I do hate Arizona. This decision then caused me the stress of having to get into Barrett. When I got my acceptance letter to Barrett, I couldn't have been happier that all my hard work had actually paid off. But I still feel very sad that I would have to leave California and go back to Arizona. Looking back, I will always wish I would have made more time to enjoy and explore the island a little more. But it was on to the next adventure and the stresses of college. Going to a new school would be stressful for anybody, but the thought of having to live on my own, away from my family, raised my stress level to the max. Questions raced through my head, like what if my roommates are weird or mean? What if it's difficult to make friends? Thoughts like these increased throughout the summer, and by the time it was finally time to move in, I was a nervous wreck. But I did it and I survived. My next task was to get into a sorority that I actually wanted to be a part of. My mother and her friends had always told me that it is so important to be a part of a sorority to make good friends and be a part of a great networking system. But I was not about it. I did not want to rush because I wanted to make a diverse group of friends outside of my comfort zone, and I had always heard sorority girls to be all about being girly, booze, boys, and partying. I was no longer wanting to be associated with this type of in crowd. To my surprise, I enjoyed the rushing process, and I ended up getting into one of the best sororities on campus. But at the time, I did not know how time consuming being in a sorority was. I was constantly obligated to attend fraternity philos, participate in Greek week activities, attend chapter every week, come to date parties, etc. I was even forced to live in Adelphi, which are the sorority dorms, even though I did not want to. I slowly saw my grades begin to slip away because I was forced to attend things I did not want to be a part of, and I became extremely unhappy. Having to live in Adelphi was the breaking point for me and my sorority. I became very depressed living there, and I was never having any fun because my living conditions were so poor, and school yet again began to consume my life. Again, I felt stuck like I was in a loop of never ending assignments, and I began to feel like I did when I was trying to graduate high school in 3 years. I knew I needed to look at things differently, so I made a bucket list of all the places and things I wanted to do and see in Arizona. I began saving my money and I started to buy tickets to every concert and festival that looked fun and grabbed my friends and just started going to everything. I moved into a beautiful apartment that overlooks Tempe Town Lake, and I bought a kayak to take out there during nighttime. I also become very adventurous, and I have started taking my kayak to different lakes around Arizona, which has allowed me to discover a new part of myself that involves so much beauty and joy. For a long time, I was stuck in the mindset that Arizona is terrible and life here is miserable, but I have truly discovered the beauty of this state that I didn't even know existed before. I couldn't be happier with where I live. I no longer participate in my sorority as much, and I only attend events that I enjoy, and my grades have begun to excel once more. But this time I am stress free, and I'm enjoying what I missed out on for so long. I have learned what I believe to be one of the biggest lessons in life, which is that sometimes we are blinded or forget about the greatness and potential of something that is right in front of us because we are so consumed with what we think our life could be instead of what it should be. I am beyond happy and content with how my life is currently, and I have learned to view life from a different perspective because life has always been what you make it out to be.